Hi, this is Matt from Skybow. If you would like to deploy your SharePoint solutions to another tenant with ease, then check out this video. The first and easiest one is scenario one. If you have everything on the same tenant, you've built your solution on a UAT or dev site, you want to deploy it on the same tenant. Solution Studio has been trusted already globally. So it was approved by the very first time when you create your first solution. So this way you can simply do a direct deployment. That's not the topic of today, but just to show you the different options. So then you can just say direct deployment, choose the site where you want to deploy it, next, and it's done. The second one is already a cross-tenant deployment, but this time again with a global trust. So you've built your solution again on a dev or UAT tenant, this time on another tenant, and your production site is on another tenant. Solution Studio has been trusted on this tenant as well. So you also went to the dialog where you create your first solution, the one we saw before. You trust that tenant, and then Solution Studio is trusted on that as well. Therefore, you can also do a direct deployment. The only thing, you have to have a user. You choose a user which has access to that site. But in the end, it's as well a direct deployment. But the third option is if you don't get that global trust. So your security department will not give you these permissions here, because Solution Studio needs to have this full control on all site collections to be able to create lists and libraries in all the different sites. We're able to create subsites, etc. And therefore we need those permissions. But what can you do if you don't get those permissions? That's the part we will have a look at right now. So the thing you need to get is you need to get a site collection from the IT department, from the SharePoint admin, so to say, where you want to deploy that solution. Then you can use our app deployment, which has been redone a little bit. It's there for more than a year, I would say, but we have to change it, and now it's a little bit different, and I would say more guided. And that's what I would like to show you now, this app deployment. The app deployment in general is done in 9 steps. So the first one is, and I will show you that in the demo, you have to register the app in Solution Studio as an app deployment. Then you can download this app in Solution Studio. It will give you an app file. You can upload that app file to the site collection app catalog. And that's always an advice from you to use the site collection app catalog, because the global app catalog doesn't make sense. The app would be visible on all the different sites, and therefore you can create an app catalog which is only scoped to one certain site, and that's what we will do here. Once it's uploaded to the app catalog, you can install it on the site as like a normal app, and this will create in the background a hidden list which has a solution maintenance page. You can open that solution maintenance page, which will look like this, which includes 3 to 4 steps, depending on if you have additional connectors or not. And here you're really guided. So the next steps, next 4 steps are exactly the 4 you see here. First, you're going to you have to trust the app deployment connector. That's a new connector that we've implemented, which only needs the permissions to selected sites, which is not to all sites. So it's only to selected sites, and after you trusted that connector in general, it has no permissions in the beginning. Then you assign the connector the permission to that site, to this new site. On this side, it needs to have full read and write again, but only on that certain site. Then you can start a deployment. So first time it's like a pool. So you can start a deployment from that dialog. And last but not least, like an optional part is the trusting of additional connectors, which are needed for certain background actions like Teams or Planner or all these things, or also the email connector. If you send emails in the background actions, they would be listed and they have to be trusted here as well. All right, so let's jump into the demo. So what I have here is again my expense demo site. I have a couple of packages here. See, 10 or so. Latest is number 10. And in the app deployment section, which is still empty, we can just say publish. It's pre-selected, the app deployment. You will find the full documentation on how this will work here already linked. So all these steps that are described here, we will now do together. So that's the only thing. You have to say next, give it a title, for example, expenses cross-tenant webinar. All right, now for demo, let's choose first an older version to show you how we can do the update later on. So I will initially deploy version 1.2, which doesn't include some lists. So this will be the first version that will be installed. Okay, I click next. Now you can already select if you want to fully deploy that solution, or if you want to make use of our selective deployment feature, which there is another webinar about it, which we'll link in the notes. So if you want to deploy only certain parts of that package, you could do that using a selective deployment. For now, we are going with the standard deployment, which is a full deployment. Right, that's it. Basically, you register that app. Now that's the registration. We don't have any deployments yet. You see again, the initial deployment type is standard. The updates as well, but there's no update yet. And then we're going to download that app package from here. It will give me a zip file, which includes two things, a README file and the SPKG file, which is the app package. These two files I will export. And one up, upload them here. All right. So these two. Now I need to have a site collection first. I have another tenant. So a brand new tenant just set up before the webinar. You see it's a demo tenant from Microsoft. It already has a couple of sites. I need to create a site first. Come on. Here, I'm simply going for a team site. Here, standard. Use that template, call it expenses demo, for example. All right, the admin will be my demo admin. here, right? Next. Create it. Once created, one thing we have to make sure, I did that up front, we need to have a global app catalog first to be able to create this site collection app catalog. So if we look at, as soon as it's done, all right, finish. If you look at more features and then apps, that's where you should have the app catalog. So first time you go there, it's automatically created. So I have it already, it's here. Now what we need to do is we need to, so this is the app catalog. I will not use that one. So I'm going back to my site. Expenses. I'll go to my site, make sure it exists, all right? And as we can see here in the contents, for now there's no app catalog at all. We need to create that app catalog first. To do that, I'm using PowerShell. So I will open up, sorry, here, PowerShell. All right, and I have some snippets here. So first of all, if you don't have PnP PowerShell, that's the one I use the most. It's the easiest. You can use it, simply say import module to get all the PowerShell commands. Then, since a couple of months, you have to have an app registration in Microsoft Entra ID, which can be created with this command. I will also add a link to this one because this is all described here. So if you start working with PnP, this is the place to go. And here it's written that you need to register that app. How you can do that, and in the very end, it will give you an app ID that you have to use when you log in to SharePoint using PnP. So we simply create that one. It will be called PnP PowerShell. My tenant should be correct already. If you don't specify any permissions, it just takes the default one. Now we have to log in, and that's here. It's my Contoso demo. I will go back to my user password. Right, two-factor. Okay. Once we are in, it will create, it already created it. And we can see this will be the ID that we would need. So this ID here is the one we need. It takes some seconds. And in the meantime, we can use that one here, because the next command is really, we connect to our new site. That's the one here, expense demo. That's the one I created. Use again the interactive login, and this client ID will be the one that you will get here in return. So, right, once again, login was there again. Now you will ask for all the permissions that it will get, like full controls, all site collection. That's just for the PnP. There is another way to do that, but yeah, that's if you want to use PnP on your tenant. There are other options. Like I said, you can also use normal SharePoint Online Management shell where you don't need all of that. But yeah, that's the easiest. And this has to be done once per tenant. Right now I have it. So next command is we're gonna log in to my site. Again, I have to log in here. Okay, I'm in. And then with this simple command here, add PnP site collection app catalog, providing the site URL, I will create the app catalog. Once created, and we go back to our site, reload it, we will see there is now an apps for SharePoint section inside of your new site. We can go inside. We can upload or just simply drag and drop. It's maybe easier. We can drag and drop that new file as that one we downloaded from Solution Studio and export it. I want to deploy it. Okay. Afterwards, it will update here to yes. Now it's deployed. And the next step is I want to add this app to that site. So I'm going to the start page, say add an app. It should be listed at here directly. Solution installer, that's how we call it. Solution installer expands cross-tenant webinar. That's the name I gave. So simply add it. And once added, still being added, refresh. Now it has been added. As soon as it's added, and if we go back to the start page, to find that hidden list that we're going to use, we will automatically write the link to that list into the console. So the easiest way is open up the console using F12, here, console, and you will find that solution installer link here. So that's the link. Simply click on the link and you will see you will go to that list, to that hidden list with the parameter open maintenance dialog equals true, which will open up that dialog. And here we can see the 3 steps. My solution in version 1.2 didn't have any connectors, so background connectors. That's why there are only 3 steps. First, we have to trust that skybow app deployment connector. This has to be done by a global admin. So the sum of the steps have to be done by the global admin. So if I click here, but the main difference is we don't need full read and write to all site collections in the very end. So we can use this admin account. It will ask less permission than in the full trust case. It will only ask for selected site collections, and which is okay. I have not assigned any permissions yet, so this will not have any access so far. I can accept it. You can find this skybow app deployment connector in your Azure AD under app registrations. All right. As soon as it's trusted, you see it automatically updates. Now it's checked, it's trusted, we can go to the next step. The next step is to assign the permissions to this connector for this site. And the easiest, there are 2 methods. I will show you the one with PowerShell because we already have PowerShell open, we are logged in, so it's much easier. So we have to connect to that site. We did that already. That was the command we just used before. So we only need to run that second command. I will show you in here. So what it's doing, it grants permissions for this app. The app ID is the skybow app deployment connector. It's always the same ID. That's our internal ID. You see the display name is skybow app deployment connector. We give full control to that site collection. So that's what this command will do. So we can run it. And of course, again, we need to choose here the user, and that's for PowerShell again. That's just for the PowerShell. It's not for the deployment. It's, you see here, PnP PowerShell. And then okay. So now it's done. So we have full control on this connector. And now if we reload here, or maybe open it up again, you can do that from here. Let's see. Now it's assigned. So the app has this permission, and we can start the deployment. So simply click here and it would start. In the meantime, we can look into Solution Studio, refresh, and we will see a registration as soon as it has finished. If there are errors, etc., you will see them. All right. Scripting capabilities. This can happen in very new tenants. It doesn't happen to me all the time. I had one case where it was not the case, so we have to have the scripting capabilities activated. That can be done for this certain site collection as well, with this one here. It's also a PnP command. Maybe some of you already know these. Deny, add, and customize pages set to false only for that site collection. So we can run that. That's only for that site collection. It will be enabled. All right, let's do another time. Now it should work. So like it's saying, it can take a while, and then we will go back here. Let's see. All right, the registration is here. It's still in progress. It can take some time, like I said. Here, after the first installation, we also have the direct link to this hidden library where we have the maintenance dialog. And of course, we still have the deployment maintenance section here, where you can activate the debug modes, where you can see the history of your schedule, the triggered actions, calculated columns, etc. It's all for every deployment. It's all here. All right. While this is running, I will show you. I hope that will work in the meantime. So now let's say we have it deployed, version 1.2, and now I'm going to make an update. So we see, all right, we have a new version, 1.10, on the app configuration itself. So to do an update afterwards, once you have the deployment done, the update is much easier. you simply say update. Then you have 2 steps. First, initial. So for every new deployment that you would do for that app registration, I can still stick with the deployment, the standard deployment. But for updates, and let's say this is deployed in 1.2, it would be an update to get to 1.10. I could, for example, go to a selective deployment and I only say, okay, for this update, I only want to deploy one specific thing. And it will analyze my package 1.10. Let's say I would disable everything, just one list that I know which is not there. For example, the travel requests. I say, okay, verify. So then the next time I would click update, I would only get the travel request list as an example. But the update is much easier. Once it's registered, now you see standard and selective in 1.10, and afterwards, now it's still updating, but as soon as that will be finished, I can click update here, or I can also go to my target site here, open up that maintenance dialog, and it would also say, hey, there's an update, and I can get it from there. So I have both options. I can say the customer could, or yeah, the site owner or the customer can do the update by him or herself at the time when it suits for them, or I can push it from Solution Studio. So after that, after these first 2 steps, we don't need any other global admins or so. So then it's all registered. And now, last but not least, if we want to check where this app, unfortunately there is no UI to see where this app has access to. So if you look at Azure portal, and there, okay, that's if you are new, and here. So you go to the Enter ID. In there, you will find the app registrations. Here in all application, you will find skybow, or should be in here, or it's an enterprise. Here, it's under all application, skybow app deployment connector. And no, should missions. Yeah. So you see it's selected sites, but the bad thing is you will not see which selected sites. But to do that, you can run this little, again, PowerShell script, which will go through all your sites and check if that app, that's the skybow app deployment connector, has a certain access. So simply run that one here, getting all the sites, and then run it. It will now check all the sites, and if there are permissions for the skybow app deployment connector, then it would be listed here. Let's see, this is still running. Okay. And here, yeah, here it found one. And it's correct, it's on the expense demo case. So all the others, all the other sites, it doesn't have any permission. Yeah, the rest, we can just let it run. It will not find anything else. With this step-by-step guide of the skybow app deployment, you should now be able to deploy your solutions on another tenant. Thanks for watching. If you like it, give it a thumb up and subscribe to our channel and watch out for other videos.